Hello, welcome back. Lovely to have your company here at Cruise1st TV. Now, we are going to venture into something very, very different right now. In fact, you and I, first of all, I have to make a confession. I've been keeping a secret from you for a wee while because back at the back end of August, I had 4 of the most incredible nights of, I don't even want to call it cruising, I want to call it a completely different way of living and being. And I was lucky enough to travel with Explora Journeys, and it was a tingle just to say the name, to be honest with you, because it was 4 of the most incredible nights and 3 of the most incredible days as well. And I'm really, really pleased to introduce you to Jenny Wade from Explora Journeys. Jenny, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for looking after me as well when we were on Explora 1. Let's talk Explora Journeys right from the very beginning. What is it and where did it come from?
So it's a very new proposition in the sense of we are redefining luxury ocean travel. And you'll note that we don't use the word cruise, we use the word ocean travel instead of cruising because it's a different style of travel.
Oh,
and actually, it gives you a preconception if you include the word cruise.
Yes.
And for a long time, this was the vision of the family that own Explora Journeys, the Ponti family, so an Italian family who own the brand, and they wanted this luxury brand to sit with the other brands that they have in the portfolio. So we're part of the MSC group. We're not the luxury arm of MSC Cruises, we're a company in our own right. They have Shipping and Cargo, largest shipping company in the world.
Of course.
MSC Cruises and now Explora Journeys. And they wanted to create something that really embraced the exploration side of things, the well-being side, that allowed guests to come on board, give them choice, give them space, allow them to immerse themselves in the destination, but also to relax and unwind when they were on board, which is something I know you were able to take the liberty to do when you were with us.
And we've discussed the tagline of the brand, if you like, is Ocean State of Mind. That is what Explora Journeys are inviting you. Listen to the calm in my voice straight away. Honestly, I think it tells 1,000 stories. And an ocean state of mind, when you see it as printed words on a brochure, for instance, you might not necessarily understand. When you step on board Explora 1, and there will be many more Explorers as well down the line, you get it instantly. It is a way of being, actually, isn't it? And it's, I think people who travel also find it quite difficult to switch off sometimes. And switching off is different things to different people. And this is a whole new world. It really is, isn't it? And literally everything is completely and utterly, even effortless doesn't say it.
Exactly, and it's interesting there that you say switching off is different things to different people, and that's something that we have really embraced as a brand. So, you know, we have a great fitness facility where people who like the energy side of fitness, like I love running, swimming, cycling, etc. So that for me is how I unwind, is the actual energy side of things. But equally we have this real holistic approach to fitness and well-being as well, with Pilates classes, yoga classes. We have Pilates reformers on board. Of course, we've got a very luxurious spa, which is just sensational.
My word.
I still love that side of things as well. But it's also about embracing, you know, a good night's sleep, you know, lovely spacious suites on board, big fixed king beds, or twins if you're wanting to travel with friends, but big fixed kings, you know, nice terrace spaces. So we're an all ocean facing ship, so every single suite has its own terrace, and we use the term terrace as opposed to balcony because a terrace is deeper, and they have a daybed out on them as well as a table and chairs. So for me, relaxation was waking up in the morning, being able to make a coffee in the coffee machine in my suite and take it and lie out on the daybed and just enjoy the scenery.
And that's what I mean by completely effortless, because your terrace is, you know, with traditional cruise ship balconies, you have to do a little bit of rearranging depending on what you want to do at that particular time. It's a bit of a fuss and a fuddle. Actually, with these terraces, it's just intuitive. It's funny enough, I did a little bit of work while I was on board, and sitting out, and I know you did as well, sitting out on your terrace with the wonderful views, with the space that you have, with space for your computer, your coffee, for everything on there. It's the smallest details, but it makes the very, very biggest difference. The kind of people that are sailing with Explora Journeys, I want to focus in on that, because obviously we are seeing right now in front of us and we will we've got a lot of time in this show to go through lots and lots of details of what is available for you on board Explora 1, and indeed many more Explora ships that are coming down the line, which we'll touch on later. But actually the calibre of the people that are on board, I went round for my few days on board, and you strike up conversations immediately with the most fascinating people. Every one of the people that I happened across on the ship, they were like a book in themselves.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Absolutely.
People with such incredible life stories.
Yeah. And it's European luxury, it's cosmopolitan, it's vibrant, it's not dinner suits in the restaurants,
No.
you know, it's chinos and a nice shirt, it's that European sense of luxury. So it is attracting a slightly younger client to Explora Journeys, to the ocean travel.
And every element of that, I mean, and I want to talk about the kind of people that are on board, because it is very much everyday people. These aren't people who
absolutely.
have anything to prove. These aren't people who are looking to flash off wealth or anything like that. They are people that simply enjoy effortless, away from the crowd, real escape. It is, I mean, I can't even really describe this as closer to a charter, because the attention that is lavished upon you, if you want it,
Yes.
and that's the thing, if you want it, the service is so intuitive, from a set of hosts on board who have the time. I had the most fantastic conversations with your hosts on board.
They're great. They really are.
Oh my word.
I agree.
And they have time to talk to you. It's not, oh, sorry, sir, I have, you know, over here I have something else to do. I had half an hour long conversations with people who
and you remember them. They remember your name and you remember
Yeah.
theirs as well. We actually have one host for every 1.25 guests on board. So we have a great host to guest ratio on board the ships. And we train them at a Swiss hospitality school, EHL. I mean, that's obviously an abbreviation. I won't attempt to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But it consistently is awarded the accolade of being the best hospitality school in the world. And that, to me, really comes across with the hosts on board. They are really great at going out.
And do you know what I
providing that
loved
additional
as well,
service.
is a lot of your hosts on board, this is their first experience of life on the ocean wave. They've come from very highbrow hospitality, you know, destinations around the world, and are so excited for this new opportunity, sitting at a completely different calibre to all of the other places. I mean, I met hosts that had worked at the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, for instance, who now their home is Explora 1, and they were so excited. And I think actually that makes the perfect host, doesn't it? Someone who has the necessary experience of how to serve it, etc., but also has that yearn for travel and discovery too.
Absolutely. And of course, 100% deliberately done. We were talking about bringing this new proposition to ocean travel and saying that really it was that hotel, luxury hotel experience, but on the ocean. And it's not unusual to hear luxury cruise lines say that, but really they're referring to the hardware. And what we were looking to do was bring the whole experience that you would have from a luxury hotel to the ocean. And service is a big part of that. So to have the hosts that have worked in some of the most luxurious hotels come on board and work for Explora Journeys is done purely for that reason. Equally, we do have people who have worked on ships before, because a combination of the two is fantastic, and it allows us to take best practices from both and have them on board the ship.
But also, intuition in service is very, very important, especially with a proposition like Explora Journeys, which is new, because you also need your host to recognise the people who are just becoming familiar with that kind of surrounding, versus, you know, the company CEOs and the well-travelled who are perfectly at home instantly. And to strike that balance, it for me is genius.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of my colleagues actually who was on board on a journey with us, he didn't, he had his suitcase and he hadn't put it under the bed, which of course if you've cruised extensively you know that's a perfect place to store your suitcase. And he left it out for the day, and the suite host came to his suite, tapped on the door and said, I don't know if you've left that there deliberately, sir, or if you know that it will go under the bed. He had no idea, and he told us, and we were like, yeah, it just goes under your bed. But if you've not cruised before, and we are attracting people who haven't, then why would you know that? And he said it was put in such a delicate way that he didn't feel stupid. You know, it was so polite, and they could have done it for him, but he might not have wanted that, and they just wanted to check.
And that is something that really truly makes an experience.
Absolutely.
Because this is a complete and utter escape. I want us, if we can, to go back on board and have a look, because I want us to talk about what is on board as well, because this isn't purely, you know, a state of mind, a state of service. This ship is extraordinary. I mean, she is beautiful. The setting, the feel, the ambience, everything is in step with the service that you are offering. It really is the very, very best of everything, isn't it? I mean, we just saw the lobby bar there, which is one of the most impressive places to be. I mean, straight away, it just feels like this was all of your dreams come at once.
Absolutely, and the passion of the family that own Explora Journeys really comes across in the design of the ship, for sure.
Because it's not overly dramatic, it's not full, it's intuitive, it has that lovely airy space about it. Space actually is much more than a physical thing as well, don't we know?
Absolutely it is.
In the days of really understanding what mindfulness means, actually space is far from just a physical thing. It's
not ostentatious, it's not opulent, it's about that contemporary modern style of luxury. And where you're talking about space there, the ship, Explora 1, 63,900 gross tonnes, which in guest terms means you could put around about 2,500 guests on a ship of that size. Of course we don't, because one of the key things that we were very keen to do when we launched the ship was ensure our guests had that space on board. So actually we only have 461 suites on board. So at maximum capacity, you're looking about 922 guests. So when you think of that and how many it could take, it means that there's a phenomenal amount of space everywhere, whether that be in the bars and lounges, the restaurants, or simply in the suites themselves, which start at 377 square feet, so or 35 square metres, depending on how you work. But incredibly spacious, for sure.
The suites are absolutely beautifully decorated as well, just wonderfully curated in a way that you don't necessarily expect. You might expect what you're used to in ocean travel, but just slightly larger, but far from it.
Absolutely. And one of the things as well that we've been really mindful of is making sure that we connect with the ocean as much as possible. So in the colour schemes, they're very neutral. So it really draws the colours in from the ocean. And that goes back to that wellness and the ocean state of mind. And the other thing with that is a sense of relaxation that you only get from being on the ocean. So how many times do people say, I just want a relaxing beach holiday? Well, the relaxation certainly doesn't come from the sand, that just gets everywhere. It's from the ocean, it's that calming spirit that the ocean provides. And also, again, a number of times you go to a hotel and say, I want a room with an ocean view. Well, every single one of our rooms has an ocean view. Fabulous sunsets at sea. And whilst we're touching on that, we might as well talk about the Sky Bar on 14, which to me is the best place to enjoy a sunset at sea, right up on deck 14 on the ship, so one of the top decks. And it just has that kind of Mykonos, Ibiza-style beach club vibe to it. Perfect place to enjoy a sundowner cocktail. And then, of course, we'll have DJs who will play some chilled music there during the sunset, and then perhaps a little bit more upbeat as the evening kicks in. And it's just a great atmosphere. In terms of, and it is just the most incredible time, let me tell you. In terms of traditional ocean travel, you would have one feature theatre and other things going on. Explora Journeys have even taken that from a completely new angle, which is so refreshing as well, I have to say. Exactly right, because that, you know, for some people that's great and they want that experience, but there's a lot of people who don't particularly want that, and so where recreating something different. So we don't have that theatre. We do have a lounge which has a stage on it where we can have a band that will perform, or our luminaries, which are our hosts that come on board and do talks. They can present from there. But we don't have that space that is purely just used for a performance, which then means that you're watching your clock, making sure that you're there for a particular time to see that performance, and then when it's finished you leave and that space is unused. So we actually have 11 different bars and lounges on board. There'll be different things happening in different places at different times, so that the guest on board can choose exactly what is right for them at that particular time. And we never have come and join us at, it's come and join us from. So it's more open, so you're not sat having dinner and thinking, well, the show starts at 9, so we've got 2 hours, we need to get through dinner in 2 hours. The dining experience, and whether this comes from being European or it was just something that we wanted including, but the dining experience I found is just one for leisurely enjoyment of the culinary experiences that you're having. And the food, I mean, food is a huge source of entertainment for me anyway.
Absolutely.
So to be able to spend 3-4 hours enjoying beautiful food, delicious wine, nice company, that to me is a perfect evening. And at the end of that, if I want to go and listen to a band play or some music, or just relax in a space and have a nightcap, then there's the facility to do that. But at no point am I looking thinking, oh, I need to be here for this time. I'm just enjoying the real luxury of time, and that is one of the greatest luxuries of all.
It absolutely is. It's funny, having spent time on board, you do find yourself thinking, I don't have a plan for the next thing, and that's okay. And that's fine, because our lives are conditioned to be that way, aren't they? And it really does, it gets you, because I am one of these people, it's very difficult to sit down and stop. I find that very, very difficult to do. And it just, it is the whole vibe of Explora.
It absolutely is. And that doesn't mean that things aren't going on, because they are. It's just they're not thrust in your face with times and tannoy announcements and various other things. You can find them, you'll know where they're happening, so you can go to them if you want to, but they're not time stipulated, so you do get to unwind and relax.
I'll tell you what, I'm so glad you're here as well. And your team, I have to say, congratulations to you and your team, because the team are amazing.
Thank you.
And a lot of the leadership team were on board when I was on board, and there was a lot of fascinating people from around the world, and your team were amazing and there and learning all the time and watching how people use the spaces as well, which I think is fascinating. It shows that we have a business here that really cares about the experience. The experience is the most important thing, and for every single person that ever sails. Absolutely
it is. We actually have a video filmed by our family who's saying it, you know, we would rather spend €1 million making sure everything is perfect and is right for the guest than spend €100,000 just so it looks okay. It's about the experience when the guest is on board. And I've talked about them and their vision, but it does also, you know, it runs through all of us. This is a brand new proposition, and we want it to be the very best, and already it's receiving accolades for it.
For something that is so brand new, but it came from passion. You can see that this was born of passion. And I have to say, having been on board, and we talk about lots and lots of different luxury brands here on the channel, I know, and they all have their own individual offering. For me, this is such a breath of fresh air. It is very much a premium product. It's a considered cruise, but when you're on board, there are no buts. Let me tell you, there completely are no buts. It's a complete escape. It is something you absolutely deserve to enjoy. The offer that we have on the screen at the moment is one that of many where we've partnered with Explora Journeys and created some really, really massive experiences. This first one, called Islands of Desire, is incredible. This is for the end of February, so not too far away if you think about it. Perfect time, the sooner the better. On this offer, we fly out to Barbados and we have a night in a hotel before we actually cruise, which is lovely. I mean, it's Barbados. I mean, when you arrive, you don't want to literally just rush from the airport on board. You want some time to chill, you know, get yourself the right way up, enjoy the whole vibe in Barbados. It's going to be incredible, this one. And then you have 7 nights on board Explora 1. And honestly, you will yearn for more the second you come back. And actually, Jenny, what I would say is, even if you never stepped off board Explora 1 for all of your time in the Caribbean, it would be like a week in heaven, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it would. Absolutely. When you were talking about the Caribbean then and saying February is not terribly far away, all I could think of was a cocktail in the astern pool with the infinity pool at the back, and
do you know what I was? Do you know what I was just thinking? I was thinking that even in the Caribbean, I would be that traditional Brit, and I would be there in time for afternoon tea.
Oh,
because because afternoon tea on board Explora 1, I tell you what,
it's
is
something special, right?
It's like no other.
Yeah.
Like no other. I have never had such attentive service. Now, Jenny, you and I both live in Yorkshire, and we have in Yorkshire very proudly probably the ultimate tea venue in the UK, in Betty's, of course, across Yorkshire. Well, hands down Explora 1.
Oh, I
probably
agree.
Without even knowing Betty. Mind you, you were there, so you would have been there to put your stamp on it and say, well, at Betty's.
It is. I was surprised, and that sounds. I don't know if that sounds right to say I was surprised, but there are certain things that you know are going to be good when you're on a ship. And the afternoon tea I thought would be nice, but it far exceeded my expectations. It's that decadent trolley that they come out with the selection of cakes and of course the scones and cream and clotted cream and the teas with the actual. I don't know the word, which is really bad at me.
They have the custom blends, don't they?
Yes.
You're there to actually, you know, take in the infusions as well and decide which one you like, which is far beyond. That's the reason I mention it, actually, because on most cruise offerings, afternoon tea would be a passing mention. Yeah. They do afternoon tea. End of. And for me, it just felt so worthy because it's really, really nice. You are sat here in the Explorer Lounge, right?
Correct.
So you're in the Explorer Lounge. You might just be sitting there having a nice relaxed lunch. Lunch turns into opening your book. Hours pass, and then it's afternoon tea, and it arrives to you. There's 2 or 3 hosts there to talk you through the afternoon tea. It is just the most wonderful thing to enjoy, and it's those kind of things that you truly remember. Yeah. The unexpected.
You have to make some time to do sometimes as well. Or when I say time, I mean space in your eating calendar, because food is such a big thing for Explorer journeys, and the culinary experiences that we offer truly are sensational. So many different venues.
The other thing as well is that when you do stop and, you know, maybe mid-afternoon, you've had your afternoon tea and you think, just fancy a little siesta. It's completely guilt-free, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Anytime, any place,
ocean state of mind.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Listen, should we take you very, very briefly around the itinerary of this Caribbean offer? I realise we are nearly at the end of the show. We haven't shown you an offer yet. Out of Barbados, here we go around the Caribbean. We go into St. Pierre in Martinique, which is wonderful. Boutique destinations also that we are taking you to on an offer like this. Of course, destination experiences, what you traditionally know as excursions, in all of these ports available. And they really are, I mean, end to end. Even your process for preparation for a destination experience is completely different. You literally feel, I'm not even going to say like a VIP, because it's absolutely, it's the norm on board Explorer journeys, but for you it will just feel completely effortless end to end. You're going into different ports as well. Samana Sanctuary in the Dominican Republic, for instance, it's absolutely beautiful. Ocean Cay in the Bahamas, of course, is a marine reserve, of course, which is part of the family company of Explorer Journeys as well, which is incredible, and it is wonderful. Again, Explorer journeys, should I say, are very, again, ecologically conscious.
Very much so.
Explorer 1 is out there right now. But as we go through to Explorer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the aim is for this fleet to reach carbon neutrality fairly quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really big focus on sustainability, which if I went into in full detail would take forever. So just to touch on it briefly, Explorer 1 and 2 do have the capabilities for ship-to-shore power. There aren't very many places you can do ship-to-shore power at the moment, but hopefully that will increase in time. And as we launch further ships, so Explorer 3 and 4 will have LNG power, so liquefied natural gases. So it'll actually be 19 metres longer to accommodate the tanks. So we're actually not putting a lot more suites on board the ship. It's about areas for the guests and a couple more residences and penthouses. And then Explorer 5 and 6 will also have hydrogen power. So really moving towards that net zero,
which is awesome, because we are talking about luxury but not at expense of the planet, again, which is great, which we're all conscious of. Let's have a look at the Explorer inclusions as well. We haven't even really touched on that either. So as soon as you arrive on board, there is a welcome bottle of champagne available, and they're waiting for you in your suite. A bottle of wine and a spirit of your choice is in there as well. We've talked about the service being authentic, cultured and intuitive, and hopefully brought that across. We haven't touched on dining yet, which we'll have to come to in another show, but more details will be on the website as well. And the culinary experiences, just take as read, are absolutely out of this world. Unlimited beverages is part of the offering, including your in-suite mini bar and a full, really comprehensive in-dining room service menu as well, way beyond what you would expect in any hotel surrounding. Access to the spa thermal area as well. We touched on it earlier. So the Salt Cave, for instance, is there for you to enjoy as and when you want, plus many other wonderful treatments which you should treat yourself to. I had a lovely power lift facial while I was on board. It was incredible. Your gratuities, of course, Wi-Fi, high-speed Wi-Fi right the way throughout the ship, and shuttle services from port to city centre. And even, again, just seeing that in words, it just doesn't paint the picture
justice,
at
does
all.
it? No, just a couple of things to pick up on there. High-speed Wi-Fi, really important. We surveyed the market before bringing the brand to fruition. It's 3 times faster than standard ship Wi-Fi. I easily was able to work from the ship, which is a positive negative. I could still do Teams calls and everything in the middle of the ocean, no problem. The complimentary house pour on board, so we talk about complimentary drinks, house pour Moet Chandon, we've partnered with Moet Hennessy. So just to put the nod towards that luxury that we have on board. And then the ship to shore shuttle service, because we don't include the destination experiences, we find, or we believe that actually by not including them, we're not charging you for something that you're not going to necessarily want. It allows you the option to switch off, and more importantly, it gives you choice, which again is something Explorer Journeys is all about. Choose exactly what you want to do, and we have more choice, so up to 20 different destination experiences in each port. Some are active, some are culinary, art, history, culture.
They're all amazing. Jenny,
depends what you want.
This is episode 1 of our conversation. We need at least 6.
We need
thank
6
you
hours.
so much for your time.
No, thank you for having me.
Listen, Explorer Journeys, find out more on our website and talk to our amazing team, because they are incredible.